Everyone tells you to plant fruit trees for food security, but they are asking you to bet on a long-term bond. An apple tree is a 5 to 7 year wait for a single dividend that a late frost can wipe out. That is a slow return on investment. If you want immediate yield, high calorie density, and resilience, you need to look lower. There's a class of agricultural assets that outperforms trees in speed and reliability. These high-yield survival bushes don't demand a decade of patience, and the best ones produce calories at a rate that makes annual gardening look inefficient. Today, we are looking at 9 specific varieties that offer the highest ROI for your soil. Let's get into it. Number 1, hazelnuts, the calorie-dense oil crop. The hazelnut, specifically the bush forms like the American and hybrid varieties, is arguably the most valuable calorie crop you can put in the ground. While everyone is trying to grow delicate almonds or walnuts that take 15 years to mature, the hazelnut bush is a production machine that starts yielding in as little as 3 to 4 years. Nutritionally, this is your oil well. Hazelnuts are loaded with healthy fats and protein, providing the kind of dense caloric energy that you simply cannot get from fruit. A single pound of hazelnuts delivers roughly 2,800 calories. That's more than an entire day's energy requirement. In a survival or high grocery cost scenario, you don't starve from a lack of vitamins. You starve from a lack of fat and protein. This bush solves that problem. What makes this asset truly interesting is the hardiness. There are specific hybrid varieties bred for the brutal conditions of the north. Some of these genetics can survive temperatures as low as minus 50 degrees Celsius. That is not a typo. While your apple trees are splitting their bark and dying in a deep freeze, these bushes are dormant, waiting to push out catkins in the spring. They are wind-pollinated, which means you don't even need to rely on bees to get a crop. You plant them as a windbreak, they stop the wind, and they drop protein. That is efficient land use. Here's what most people don't know. A mature hazelnut bush can produce 10 to 25 pounds of nuts per year, and they're productive for 30 years or more. You're looking at potentially 750 pounds of high-calorie food from a single plant over its lifespan. The nuts store at room temperature for up to a year if kept dry, giving you a rotating pantry that requires zero electricity. The only downside is the local wildlife knows exactly how valuable they are, so you will be competing with squirrels. But if you can manage the pests, the return on investment here is higher than almost any other nut tree. Number 2, Nanking cherry, the speed demon. If the hazelnut is the long-term bond, the Nanking cherry is the short-term trade that pays out immediately. This is not a true cherry tree. It is a bush cherry from Asia that is absurdly eager to produce. You put this in the ground, and you will often see fruit the very next year. The Nanking cherry explodes with white flowers in early spring, so early that it's often the first thing to bloom. It produces massive quantities of tart, sweet cherries that taste vastly superior to the watered-down fruit you buy at the store. Because they are soft and have a short shelf life, commercial growers ignore them. That's a shame, because for a home grower, they are gold. The interesting thing about the Nanking is its durability in drought. Once established, this plant is incredibly tough. It thrives in the harsh, dry winds of the prairies where other stone fruits fail. It doesn't need grafting. It grows true from seed. You can plant the pits from your own harvest and have genetically identical plants in 2 years. This self-sufficiency is rare among fruit-bearing plants. You can eat the fruit fresh, but the real value is processing. Juice, jams, and wine. A single mature bush can yield 10 to 20 pounds of cherries annually, and they ripen all at once over a 2-week window. This concentrated harvest is actually an advantage if you're processing. You pick once, process once, and move on. The catch is the pit-to-flesh ratio. The pits are slightly larger than you'd like, which makes processing a bit of work. But when you look at the sheer volume, buckets of fruit from a bush that doubles as a decorative hedge, the labor cost is worth it. The bush itself is compact, rarely exceeding 6 feet in height, meaning you can pack multiple bushes into a small space and still harvest comfortably from the ground. It's a hedge that pays rent. Number 3, Gumi berry, the soil builder. The Gumi berry is the unfair advantage in a permaculture system. Most plants extract nitrogen from the soil. The Gumi puts it back. It is a nitrogen fixer, meaning it pulls nitrogen from the air and fixes it into the soil through its roots, essentially fertilizing itself and the plants around it. This is a relative of the invasive autumn olive, but the Gumi is better behaved and produces larger, tastier fruit. The berries are unique, bright red with silver speckles, tasting like a complicated mix of rhubarb and cherry. They contain lycopene, the same antioxidant found in tomatoes, but in higher concentrations. What's fascinating about the Gumi is its medicinal profile and its timing. It fruits early in the summer when most other berries are still green. This fills the hunger gap in your harvest schedule. It is also shade tolerant, meaning you can plant it in the understory of your larger trees where nothing else will grow. You are essentially getting free fertilizer that also produces food. From an asset management perspective, that is compounding interest. You plant it to feed your soil, and it feeds you as a bonus. The seeds are also edible and high in protein, so you don't even need to spit them out. You eat the whole asset. Here's the economic multiplier. Because it fixes nitrogen, you can plant heavy feeders like tomatoes or squash right next to it and watch them thrive without adding fertilizer. A mature Gumi produces 8 to 15 pounds of berries per year, while simultaneously enriching the soil for everything around it. The berries also have up to 18 times the lycopene of tomatoes by weight. And unlike most berries that need full sun, the Gumi tolerates partial shade and still produces well, giving you productive vertical layers in your food forest. It's basically a plant that pays you twice, once in fruit, once in fertility. Number 4, honeyberry, the first harvest. If you live in a cold climate, the honeyberry, or haskap, is mandatory. This is a honeysuckle that produces blue, oblong berries that taste like a cross between a blueberry and a raspberry. But the flavor isn't the main selling point, the timing is. Honeyberries ripen weeks before strawberries. In many northern climates, this is the very first fruit you will eat in the season. That psychological boost of harvesting fresh fruit in late spring, while everything else is just waking up, is valuable. These plants are native to the boreal forests of Russia and Japan. They are built for cold. The flowers can survive -7 degrees Celsius without losing the crop. Think about that. A late frost that would wipe out your entire apple harvest won't even faze the honeyberry. The skin of the berry is thin, almost melting in your mouth, which is why you will never see these in a grocery store. They can't handle the transport. That means the only way to eat them is to grow them. They have incredibly high antioxidant levels, 3 times that of a blueberry. You're getting medicinal-grade nutrition from a plant that requires almost no maintenance once established. And here's the production advantage. Newer cultivars can produce up to 7 pounds of fruit per bush in as little as 2 years after planting. By year 5, you're looking at 10 to 15 pounds per bush. They also have one of the longest productive lifespans of any berry. Some bushes in Siberia are documented at over 50 years old and still fruiting heavily. The root system is shallow and fibrous, meaning they won't compete aggressively with nearby plants, and they actually prefer slightly acidic soil, making them perfect companions for blueberries. You get double the harvest timeline from the same soil profile. Number 5, Rosa rugosa, the fortress that feeds. Sometimes you need an asset that plays defense. Rosa rugosa, or the Rugosa rose, is that asset. This is not a delicate garden rose that needs constant spraying and pruning. This is a tank. It forms a dense, impenetrable wall of thorns that will stop a deer, a dog, or a person. But we aren't planting it just for security. We are planting it for the hips. After the flowers fade, this bush produces massive rose hips, some as large as cherry tomatoes. These hips are one of the most concentrated sources of vitamin C on the planet. A handful has as much vitamin C as a bag of oranges. In a situation where supply chains are disrupted, scurvy and vitamin deficiencies become real risks again. This plant is your insurance policy against that. The hips hang on the bush well into winter, providing a harvest when the ground is frozen solid. The flavor is tart and tangy, perfect for teas, syrups, and jams. The seeds inside contain vitamin E and are excellent for skin oil if you have the equipment to press them. This plant thrives in poor soil, handles salt spray like a champ, hence the name beach rose, and ignores most pests. It protects your perimeter and stocks your medicine cabinet. What makes this even more valuable is the harvest window. While most fruits have a narrow picking period, rose hips actually improve after the first frost. The cold converts starches to sugars, making them sweeter and easier to process. A single mature bush can produce 2 to 4 pounds of hips annually, and because they're so vitamin dense, that small harvest goes a long way. The flowers themselves are also edible. The petals can be used in salads or distilled for rose water. And here's the defensive multiplier. Because the thorns are so vicious, you can create a living fence that requires zero maintenance, never rots, and actively produces food. Try getting that from barbed wire. Number 6, Serviceberry, the historic staple. The serviceberry, also known as Juneberry or Saskatoon, is a North American native that powered entire civilizations. This was a key ingredient in pemmican, the ultimate survival food of indigenous peoples and fur traders. Pemmican is a mixture of dried meat, rendered fat, and dried serviceberries that could last for years without spoilage. The fruit looks like a blueberry but is actually a pome fruit, related to the apple. It has an almond-like flavor because of the small seeds, which become nutty when cooked. This is a serious calorie crop, not just a watery snack. What makes the serviceberry interesting for us is its dual nature. It can be grown as a large bush or a small tree. It is incredibly ornamental, signaling spring with masses of white flowers. It is adaptable to a wide range of soils and is drought tolerant once the roots tap down. The yield on a mature bush is heavy. A well-established multi-stemmed bush can produce 15 to 30 pounds of berries per year. And because they ripen gradually over several weeks, you get an extended harvest rather than a single overwhelming glut. The berries are roughly 25% sugar by weight when ripe, making them excellent for drying into concentrated energy cakes. This is critical. Dried serviceberries have a shelf life measured in years, not months. The downside is that birds love them as much as we do. If you don't net them or plant enough to share, you will be wiped out in a morning. But if you eat the birds, you have a fruit that processes beautifully into dried cakes, mirroring that historical utility of long-term storage food. The plant is also remarkably disease-resistant and can grow in partial shade, though full sun maximizes production. It's one of the few fruit bushes that actually improves wildlife habitat while feeding you, making it valuable beyond just the harvest. Number 7. Goji berry, the complete protein. Most fruit is just sugar and water. The goji berry, or wolfberry, is different. This is one of the only fruits that contains all essential amino acids, making it a complete protein source. That is rare in the plant world and exceptionally valuable for anyone looking to reduce reliance on animal proteins. Native to the Himalayas and China, the goji is a sprawling vine-like bush that is incredibly hardy. It tolerates drought, heat, and poor sandy soil. In fact, if you treat it too well with too much water and nitrogen, it produces leaves instead of fruit. It thrives on neglect. The berries are best eaten dried, turning into little red raisins that store indefinitely at room temperature. This storage factor is critical. You don't need a freezer or a canner to preserve the harvest. You just need the sun. There is a trick to growing them. They are vigorous to the point of being invasive if you let the branches touch the ground, where they will root and start a new plant. You have to manage them, but that vigor also means they are hard to kill. One bush can produce pounds of nutrient-dense berries that sell for a premium in health food stores, and you can grow them for free in a corner of your yard. Here's the production reality. A mature goji bush can yield 7 to 10 pounds of fresh berries per season, which reduces to about 2 to 3 pounds when dried. That might sound small until you realize those dried berries contain 13% protein by weight and all 9 essential amino acids. They also contain significant amounts of iron, zinc, and B vitamins, nutrients often missing in plant-based diets. The bushes start producing in their second year and remain productive for decades. They're also self-fertile, meaning you only need one plant to get fruit, though yields increase with multiple plants. The flavor, when fresh, is described as somewhere between a tomato and a cranberry, but drying concentrates the sweetness into something closer to a nutritious candy. Number 8. Jostaberry, the hybrid engine. The Jostaberry is a triumph of agricultural breeding. It is a complex cross between a black currant and 2 types of gooseberries. The goal was to eliminate the thorns of the gooseberry and the fungal diseases of the currant, and they succeeded. This bush is a monster of efficiency. It grows rapidly, has 0 thorns, and is immune to the white pine blister rust that plagues other ribes species. It combines the vigorous growth of the black currant with the large fruit size of the gooseberry. The flavor is complex, starting tart like a gooseberry and ripening to a sweet, deep berry flavor like a black currant. But the real asset here is the harvest efficiency. Because there are no thorns and the fruit is large, you can fill a bucket in a fraction of the time it takes to pick currants. It is also incredibly long-lived. A Jostaberry bush can produce heavily for 20 years or more. It's a set-it-and-forget-it asset. It leaves out early and holds its leaves late, giving it a long photosynthetic season to build energy. A mature bush reaches 5 to 6 feet in height and width, producing 10 to 15 pounds of berries annually once fully established. The berries are roughly the size of a small cherry, about 3 times larger than a black currant, which means faster picking and less processing time. They're also exceptionally high in vitamin C and anthocyanins, the compounds that give them their deep purple-black color. These are the same antioxidants found in blueberries, but in much higher concentrations. The bush tolerates shade better than most fruiting plants, making it ideal for planting under nut trees or in areas with filtered light. If you want high volume for jams and preserves without the blood, sacrifice of thorny gooseberries, this is the plant. And because it's largely unknown in North America, there are almost no pests or diseases that target it. You get European productivity with 0 European pest pressure. Number 9, the Chicago hardy fig, the calorie king. We end with the heavyweight champion of calorie density, the Chicago hardy fig. Figs are usually associated with the Mediterranean, but this variety has been bred to withstand the brutal winters of the American Midwest. Here's the mechanism that makes it a survival asset. In a harsh winter, the wood might freeze and die back to the ground. In most fruit trees, that's game over. But the Chicago Hardy will send up new shoots in the spring, and this is the critical part. It will set fruit onto new wood and ripen it before the fall frost. Figs are essentially sugar bombs. They have one of the highest caloric values of any fruit. When you dry them, they become energy bars that last for months. A mature root system can push incredible growth in a single season, producing pounds of fruit that taste like honey and jam. You can grow them in the ground in Zone 6 or even Zone 5 with some mulch protection. They have almost no pests in North America because they aren't from here, no spraying, no fuss. You just feed them sun and heat, and they give you pure energy. Fresh figs contain about 74 calories per 100 grams, but dried figs jump to 249 calories per 100 grams, more than 3 times as energy dense. A single established bush can produce 50 to 100 figs per season in a northern climate, and in warmer zones or protected microclimates, production can double. The fruit is also packed with calcium, potassium, and iron. Here's the tactical advantage. Figs ripen over an extended period, giving you weekly harvests rather than one overwhelming crop. And unlike most fruits that need 2 varieties for pollination, the Chicago Hardy is self-fertile and produces parthenocarpic alloy, meaning it sets fruit without pollination. It is the closest thing to growing candy in your backyard, but with a nutritional profile that kept Roman legions marching. The leaves can also be dried and used for tea, and in some traditions, fig leaf extract is used medicinally. You're getting calories, minerals, and medicinal compounds from a plant that laughs at winter. That's it for today. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you're excited to go plant some bushes. I personally grow every single one of these, except the Chicago fig. I don't think it would survive in my zone, but if I had to pick a favorite, honeyberries. They are seriously underrated. In my opinion, they produce more than blueberries, and I actually prefer the flavor. Just remember, if you're planting honeyberries, you'll need at least 2 different varieties for proper pollination. Let me know in the comments. Which one are you planting this year?